A year ago, I made a video where I played 100 games of Hypixel Bridge, which became one of the most viewed videos on my channel and one of my personal favourites. So I thought I'd try it again, a year later, and see if I've got any better, if Bridge has got any worse, and just to see what else I could learn. I split the 100 games into 2 sessions, the first 50 games being recorded in roughly the 2 hours after daily leaderboards reset, the other 50 in the 2 hours before they reset, in order to draw some comparisons. Anyway, without further ado, here are the games. So, game 1 was pretty unremarkable. I got a nice block off though. Game 2, we had our first obby strat already. Not a tower, it's an obby strat. Games 3 to 5, I queued the same poor guy who was then the first person to disconnect in game 4. Then by game 6, I was already number 3 on daily, and by game 7, I was now number 1 on daily. In game 8, I got a nice little toe shot. I know that's not really a technical term, but that's what I call it. In game 10, I finally let in my first goal. In game 11, I realised I'd forgotten to reset my high stat session after the last stream, so now it's missing the first 10 games for the rest of the video. I also got the most deserved and goofy R goal of my entire life. In game 12, I encountered Kodax, who's a bridge godlike, and I've queued him twice before and lost both times, but like very closely, and he's very toxic, and he spawn blocked me on Kondo one time, and then again, in this game, on Galaxy. I got to 4-2, but then I just kind of monkey-brained and lost, which kind of makes you want to fix Galaxy. Games 13 and 14 were pretty normal, but then game 15 I had a nice little sweaty game with a nice golem fight, and a Duke. In game 16, I encountered Nick, and I expected him to be good, so I tried kinda hard, and then he disconnected after I railed him in a goal room. Games 17 to 20 were pretty normal, but then by game 21, I was already back on daily after my loss in game 12, and I had a nice little final goal. Games 22 to 24 were pretty bland, but then in game 25, my opponent tried building a house, which at first I admit I thought was a swastika, but easy mistake to make. By game 26 I was already back to number 3 on daily, and then in game 28 I did 3 stupid races in true Obsidian 360 fashion. In game 29 I finally got recognised. 29 games in, unbelievable. Games 30 to 32 were pretty boring, then game 33 I was back to number 1 on daily, and it was a normal game, but it gave me a nice little non-Taj screenshot. In game 35, I finally moved up from number 80 on lifetime goals, where I've been stuck for like the last several months, and no doubt I will be back there very soon. Game 37 was very sweaty. I won at 5-4, but I didn't really get any good clips because I was just so bad at the game. Game 38, I did get a couple of nice clips though, a nice clutch, and a nice block off. In game 39, I encountered a homophobe just in time for Pride Month, and I tried to have a philosophical debate with him as to why he hated gays, but it soon became apparent that he hadn't had an intelligent thought in his life, so I just chat reported him and moved on. And he ended up getting muted, so you know, that's all good. And by the way, if any of you have similar views to him, then go away, I don't want you on this channel. In game 40, I clipped my opponent 3 times in 30 seconds. Games 41 to 45 were pretty normal, but there were signs of the server beginning to lag, with commands showing up about 5 minutes late. In game 46, I encountered a poor level 8 who had no idea what he was doing, and clearly didn't know about the top entrance on Boo, so I tried to show him, and I think it worked. I quite like to do this with clueless nons on Boo and Sorcery, because they deserve a little help, I think. In game 47, I encountered Jimbo12, one of my channel moderators. In game 49, I encountered a guy who took every available opportunity to build up his hippo. He seemed like he should have been good, but my goodness was he awful. He couldn't defend his hippo, and he barely even tried to make it to my side of the bridge. There were like 4 blocks beyond the white line in the middle of the bridge. Like, it makes me wonder if he actually wants to win or if he was just there to be annoying. Also, I'm the smartest bridge player. And that ended up being the last game of session 1 because the server was lagging so much that I couldn't actually queue game 50. So by the end of the first session, I was a bit behind schedule, as I normally estimate 25 wins per hour, and the first session had taken me 2 hours and 8 minutes. However, I only had 1 loss and I was on a 38 win streak, but could I keep this up? By the start of the second section, I was still at number 10 on daily, 20 hours after the end of the last session, so that's pretty cool. In game 51, I encountered a guy who said his mum watches my videos too, so hello to Vald's mum if you're watching this. In game 52, my opponent asked for a free win, so I gave him a valuable life lesson. Wins aren't wins if you get them for free, and you gotta win some to lose some. Inspiring. Game 54, I encountered a level 1 who was clearly not a level 1 but disconnected after the second goal anyway, so it didn't really matter. In game 56, my opponent told me to wait, but then proceeded to kill me, so I gave him what he deserved. In game 57, I clipped, and then got clipped. In game 58, I was doing pretty awfully, but then suddenly got my act together in the last minute and made my opponent quit after chasing me around his base. Games 59 to 62 were pretty normal, but then by game 63, I was up to my first 50 daily win streak in quite a while. Game 64 to 66, I queued the same guy 3 times, and he disconnected in all 3 games. Game 67, I queued the same guy as in game 57, got a nice little combo, and quite a close goal to finish it off. Game 69 was a pretty normal game, but I got a nice little juke. Twice. By game 71, I was already up to number 3 on daily, where I would stay for the next little while. Game 72 was the shortest game of the whole video, clocking in at a whole 2 seconds. In game 73, my opponent was AFK, so I decided to pay homage to the last 100 games video and do a little target practice. This time, I actually hit a shot, and then they came back and called me a bum. Games 74 to 76 were pretty normal, but then game 77 I queued the guy from game 68 who said I was too good and looked like he wanted to give up, so I purposely threw to give him a goal. In game 78 I queued poor Japan for a 3rd time. In game 79 I queued a Legend 2 but 5-0'd them in under 2 minutes, so that was alright. In game 80 I queued that same Legend 2 and had a bit of a sweaty game, but I still 5-0'd them. I also failed the Hyperfrost jump because I suck. Games 81 to 85 were pretty standard. In game 86 my opponent said I wasn't taking any knockback, but then he said he wasn't saying I was cheating, but he clearly was. In game 87 I was now number 2 on daily, but forgot to start recording until about 10 seconds into the game, so I drew it instead. In game 88 I did a little bit of trolling on a poor little nom. In game 90 I encountered the guy who chased me around Sunstone earlier, who clearly just couldn't be arsed and disconnected. In game 91 I got clipped into a block, and then I clipped, and clipped again. In game 92 I queued a guy who said he started playing Bridge yesterday and he gave me the win. Game 93, in contrast, I queued a guy who really did not want to lose. He started by hippoing, giving me 2 free goals and the impression that he wasn't very good, because in my experience people who hippo in queue are just making up for a skill issue. I then scored and brought it to 3-0, got bullshitted out of a 4th goal but eventually got to 4-2, and then, as in game 12, monkey-brained and proceeded to get destroyed for the remaining 3 goals. I was devastated. I'd been doing so well, and I was only 7 games away from the end. Game 94, I queued the guy who said he started playing Bridge yesterday again, but it just wasn't the same. In game 95, I queued him again, which means I queued 4 different people, 3 times each in this challenge. So like 4 people made up 12 games out of the 100, like it's ridiculous. Game 96, I did some nice obby stretch shenanigans. And then in game 97 I did some nice urban shenanigans. Urban, the way I say that, my goodness. Game 98 I got a nice duke, and decided that Hyperfrost is the next map I'm fixing. Game 99 was completely normal, and then game 100 was incredibly anticlimactic. The dude disconnected after the 4th goal and the game was over in less than a minute. So, you know, that's just the way the cookie crumbles, as they say in Spain. So in total, I took 3 hours and 44 minutes to complete all the games, including breaks and queue time. I got 517 kills and averaged a 1.85 kill-death ratio. I got 98 wins and only 2 losses for a 49 win-loss ratio. I scored 393 goals and only conceded 35. 32 of my opponents disconnected. And Fortress and Palestra were the most common maps at 9 games each. I never want to play Palestra again. So what did I learn? Well, people disconnect significantly less than they did a year ago. Last year I had 53 out of 100 opponents disconnect. This time I only had 32. I also play at exactly the same pace as I did last year. The 100 games last year took me 3 hours and 44 minutes, and it took me 3 hours and 44 minutes again this year. Although this year I did have 21 fewer opponents disconnect, so you could argue I have got faster. I found out that queues in the 2 hours after daily leaderboard... oh my god. I found out that queues in the 2 hours after daily leaderboards reset... I can't say daily leaderboards, whatever, that's staying in. Are significantly sweatier than... You know, I've tried saying this like 10 times now, I'm just going with this cut. I found out that queues in the 2 hours after daily leaderboards reset are significantly sweatier than in the 2 hours before they reset, which makes sense. Really, I did it. I also discovered I just kind of forget how to play the game whenever I get to a 4-2 lead, and it's specifically 4-2. I can win from 4-1, 4-3 or 4-4, but not 4-2. This happens a lot in streams as well, and I just cannot explain it. And I found out that Bridge is far easier when I'm not streaming, which seems logical really. I can concentrate completely on the game rather than trying to keep 30 people engaged, and my internet connection is under far less strain, so I'm a lot less laggy, and it's just great. This was also the most fun I've had playing Bridge in a while, which is pretty cool. In contrast, it was not the most fun I've had trying to record a voiceover in ages, oh my god. So overall, I think I have got better, but at the same time, Bridge has become a lot sweatier and less friendly to the kind of people who gave me 53 out of 100 disconnections last year, you know? But anyway, that's going to do it for this video, so, you know, 200 likes and I'll do another one of these, which will be in the middle of my A-levels next year, and is an awful idea, but like, 200 likes and I'll do it. So if you did enjoy, leave a like. If you loved it more, make sure to subscribe. Thanks for goodbye. Beautiful. Poetic.